Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm just going to do a short one today. Unfortunately, I spent a good bit of time going over a song called Reflections by Tool, but the wrong mic was hooked up, so it sounds like I'm talking into a jar, and that's not going to fly. Anyway, so I'm going to take a different approach and kind of go with how I converse with my fellow coworkers. I decided to take a couple weeks and go through the whole building and talk to every single person and ask them the question, the reason you won't follow Christ is X. And sometimes I lead that up with, like, do you believe in God? And because I want to know what X is. I want to know why other people do not follow Christ as the highest ideal like I do. I'm genuinely interested, and so maybe they have asked a question I have never asked before. So I'm just going to go over a couple of these, and didn't engage in dialogue too long with them, because oftentimes, well, first off, you're working, and secondly, you can't argue people into the kingdom, but what you can do is you can give people something to think about. So the first person I asked, like, do you believe in God? Have you read the Bible? That's a good one. What do you think about Christ? And he said, after reading the Bible cover to cover several times, I found too many inconsistencies. I said, that's very interesting. And then my next question was, where? And he's like, they're all over the place. And I'm like, no, be specific. I need to know these inconsistencies because I've only found one. And that deals with I think it's a timeline battle between Kings and Chronicles. That's the inconsistency. Everything else I can wrap my head around. It's pretty consistent. It's very hyperlinked too. I mean, so that was the engaging conversation. So what he said after that was, he said, I'll get back to you. That's awesome. So I actually got him to read his Bible, I think. He's about halfway through it. I think he's maybe past the Kings, somewhere in there. He is a reader, so he will get back to me. He also borrowed a book from me called Is God a Moral Monster by Paul Copan. I'll pop that down in the description for you there if you're interested in reading it. It goes over a lot of the Old Testament stuff and the specifics, why they did the things they did and why it was so game-changing according to religious practice. It's really interesting. The Old Testament has so much depth, it's ridiculous. So then I went to the next guy, and he said, is it real? How do you know? And that's basically the same question. How do you know that it's real? And my answer to him was, I let them go for a little bit. I let them go until they are done asking their question. Then I try to rephrase it to them in a way that's stronger than they asked me, so I can, simplify it. So how do you know? Well, how do you know anything? Because experience has a shelf life, right? So how do you know the people that taught you in school taught you the right thing? The answer is obvious. It's also, it's quite simply obvious. It's you use your best evidence. And in something this serious, maybe you should look into all the evidence available. Or maybe you're not taking it seriously. Maybe you're not taking life seriously. Now, that's not the way I kind of phrased it to him. That's how I phrased it to myself, because all of us are way harder on ourselves. How do you know the Gospels are real? Maybe you should look into the evidence and the counter evidence. If you're not sure, you should really look into this stuff. And maybe we can go over that a little bit on this channel. I don't know. So a good book to read on that would be The Case for Christ, which goes over basically in like a cop/lawyer sense on if Christ existed, and he did what he did, and where's the evidence of it. And there's an amazing amount of evidence, more than we have of any other historical person, so I'd strongly recommend reading that book for that answer. So I think that's all I'm going to do for today, just those two questions. I got a whole bunch here, but if you're interested in this, I'll go over every single question, because I got pages of this stuff, and every one is not long, but it's a depth conversation, because people rarely talk about this stuff with another human being face to face. Even if it's at the workplace, at least it gets people starting to think about higher things, which is the goal, to lead them away from the tyranny of the immediate, the unbearable present, and to think about higher things that is not just about right now. So we lie to ourselves all the time thinking that we're not going to die. The Indians call it Maya, I believe. It's like the temporary illusion encased around life that you can live that makes it happy, but you know you're going to die. But that's over there. That's out of your mind. But that's something, we're all one being. You should keep that into consideration. So what are you living for that'll make your life worthy of living, even to the end? That's a good question. So anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll go over a little bit more of this stuff later. Take care.